but maybe we can get out a little bit early. The first order of business is the roll call, and I think everyone is here except Sheila. Anybody else
So
missing?
she's excused.
And she's excused, she's on an airplane in Mexico at the moment. Okay. Does anybody want to be chair?
Look at everybody raising their hands.
I think Dave would be an
Yeah, I
excellent
think
chair.
Dave too.
And are we ready for nomination?
Okay. All right. Nominations are open for president.
I nominate Dave as
You're the
president.
same guy that did it last time.
I second it.
I second, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a second to that?
You got it.
Yeah.
You got several of them.
Any discussion? Let me say, I'm gonna repeat my campaign speech of last year. And Jeff said, you don't need to do that, you got it, if you want it, you know? But anyway, I think that a role of an advisory board, I might have a little bit different view of an advisory board than most people do. I think an advisory board, there's two kinds of boards. There are cheerleaders, you know, where the staff of the agency brings in people and you tell them how good their programs are and you give them suggestions on all that sort of thing. But you're basically just supportive of the agency that you're on board to. Then there's the other kind of board, which I think is better, and I think it's in line with the ordinance that we talked about last week. And that is, we need to be active as far as making recommendations, trying to influence policy, even trying to influence legislation. And so I try to make the board as active as possible, and that's where I'm coming from. And sometimes people think maybe I'm going maybe a little bit too far. There's been a couple of instances of that. But that's, so if you elect me, it'll be more of the same.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I
Okay.
think that sounds exactly what we should be doing.
All right, the nominations are closed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Vice President.
You still have the crown.
I think that Art has done a good job. Why not keep him on?
I appreciate it, but my reason for trying to get somebody else here, this is my last year. I'm on my 6th year, and I'm going to be here for a few more months. And so what I'm saying is I would like to see somebody else that, not that there's that much to do as a vice president, except when Dave can't make it or whatever, but I'd like to see somebody else get on there that might be interested in eventually becoming a president. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
I know you're working your butt off too in your circumstances.
Yeah,
too.
right. Yeah. So I'd like to see if anybody else might be interested.
Let me just say that if, you know, there's a lot of new people on the board,
Right.
and that doesn't prevent you from being a vice president if you want to be. It would be good training, you know, to be president, because I don't plan on doing another year. So, you know, if you want to do that, it'd be a good way to learn about some of the things that we do.
Lonnie, do you have any interest in it?
Sure.
Well, there's one.
Good, excellent.
How many others are interested?
Okay, is there anyone else that's interested? Maybe we can have a big political fight here.
Enough of those going.
Right.
Are there any further nominations? All right, any discussion? Nominations. Oh,
I just want to say that I'll fully support what we talked about, what you mentioned as far as the advisory board. I think that's exactly what we should be doing.
Very good.
And, yeah, I intend to fully support the whole board and Dave.
Very good, very good. All right. Did I say nominations are closed? All right, all those in favor of Lonnie for vice president, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Abstentions? Congratulations.
I get the other crown.
Yeah. All right, approval of the agenda. Did you get the one?
No.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Don't we also have to have a scribe, a secretary?
No.
No?
We do not.
I did not know that.
I didn't either. As a matter of fact, I brought it up a few weeks ago that we needed a secretary, and I checked the ordinance. It doesn't call for a secretary. It says president and vice president. Am I right on that?
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Other divisions around the city has a staff member.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I would just like to say, along those rounds is, 7 of us attended the orientation. And at that orientation, it was said that staff are provided for advisory boards, or a board member could do it. But I guess my thinking is, if we're expected, according to what all of the information it said here in the orientation, to be active and be aware and be open to everything that's in the meeting and pay attention, it's hard to take minutes at the
Yes.
same time.
Right.
So
Well,
based on that, I think it's a little difficult.
last year, I really can't speak for Beth and who's the other one we did?
Sheila.
No.
Now,
Yep.
Janine,
Janine.
No, not Janine either. The one that we had before, Ruth. They were both secretaries, and it was just too much, I think. I don't know. They didn't say that, but I have a feeling that was part of the reason they resigned. It was just too much. They had full lives, they had responsibilities. It was just tough. So anyway,
that's good.
Yes.
I hope, do we understand who is taking the minutes?
Yeah, it's,
Is that Amy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh,
Bianca.
okay.
Oh, hi Bianca.
the one.
Popped out of nowhere.
And we appreciate that, we really do.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
You guys take such excellent minutes, I tell you. It's just like, when I read through the minutes, it's just like I was there again.
You do
No, I mean
shorthand
that in
on
a
the
good
computer?
way. Pardon me?
I said, can you take shorthand on the computer?
All right, so are there any additions to the agenda?
To the minutes?
Okay, if hearing none, someone move to approve the agenda.
I'll move.
Arlene moves, is there a second?
Second.
Art seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approval of the previous month's minutes. I assume everybody's had a chance. Did you get that stuff this morning?
This morning, no.
No, I sent it at 6:30. I forgot to send them last night. Woke up in the middle of the night.
Well, that's why I didn't see it yesterday. I thought I was just behind on my email.
No, they're there, it's just late.
So with that on our agenda, I was wondering if it'd be possible for us to start under new business A, just to allow Amy an opportunity to kind of do a quick presentation on our senior recreation program.
Okay,
And allow her to go catch up on a lot of her work,
Okay.
if that's okay.
sure. So we have to approve the minutes. We didn't approve the minutes, did we?
No.
Okay, so,
I've read through them. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
okay, Arlene makes the motion, is there a second? Alani makes the second, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we will move to item A, senior recreation program overview.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Aye.
Do we think it might be a little better to turn the lights off for this, or are we okay with the moment? What do we think?
Yeah, I think so.
Turn them off.
I can't see it a lot.
Okay. And for those of you in the front row, you ready? Better? Your fault? Well, it's good to see everybody this morning. My name is Amy Hodge. I'm our Seniors Recreation Program Supervisor. Been here with the city of Longmont, so it's crazy, but about 6 months. Feels like just got going yesterday. So very excited to be here, be a part of this program, and talk to you all a little bit today about what our recreation programming division does, as well as some of the things that maybe kind of aren't within our scope of care, but we can help connect and create resources for. So as you know, we have kind of 2 main divisions here at our center. We have the recreation programming side, and we have our supportive services side. I understand Brandy's probably going to be coming into a meeting soon to speak a little bit more to what our supportive services division does. But today I wanted to tell you a little bit about my background, what we're doing here for our programs, and some of our goals for the future. So when we talk about how I got here, I'm originally from Missouri. I've been in Colorado a little over 6 years, and during my college years at Northwest Missouri State, I was a softball player through my sophomore year, then decided to blow out my knee, and that was the end of that. So that also kind of changed my perspective on what I wanted to do with my career. My mom was also diagnosed with multiple sclerosis right around that time, and that really made me shift from an athletic training mindset to working with special populations to let them enjoy their quality of life through the end of their life. And a lot of that can come through leisure. So I completed degrees in corporate wellness as well as therapeutic recreation, which we'll talk about a little bit more here in a little bit, with a minor in gerontology. I always loved working with the aging community. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents growing up and kind of approached this role as everybody's my grandparent, and I want to make sure they're receiving the same care that I would have given to my grandparents. From Northwest, I actually started the first 5 years of my career working in geriatric forensic psychology as a recreation therapist. Learned a lot not only about aging, but about people. People generally just have a need they're trying to get met, and how can I help you meet that need or overcome barriers to meet that need? After working in forensic psych, I moved down to Kansas City and worked at Truman Medical Centers, which is a level 1 trauma center in urban Kansas City. Worked in the acute psychology department as a recreation therapist. Started working for Employee Wellness part-time in that time, teaching group fitness and personal training. Transitioned to their corporate wellness side of things within the hospital and ran our Employee Wellness program for a 5,000 member employee population. So kind of having both the client-facing perspective as well as the staff perspective, figured out corporate wellness was not my jam and moved over to community rec, which is where I have been since 2017. During that time, completed my master's degree in kinesiology with an emphasis in sport management, and then started working for the City of Liberty, which is a lot like Longmont. It's about the same size. Think of like a Arvada, Longmont, about 100,000 people, and worked with their senior services division as well as their health and wellness areas, which really got me into the aging side of community work. And Estes Park is what brought me out here. Moved out here in early 2018, was recruited to help them open their rec center. For them, I ran their athletics division as well as their fitness and general programming. I was living in Greeley at the time. As you know, that's a bit of a drive from Greeley to Estes. So I wanted something a little closer to home, and the perfect opportunity came available with the Eaton Area Park and Rec District. It was aging and fitness, which are my two loves. Got to bring them together, and was with Eaton for about 5 years, continued with them and took over their general recreation as well as athletics program in accordance with aging and fitness, and became a supervisor for that entity. And then we came here. As I was working in Eaton, I learned more and more I wanted to be in the aging community, and this role allowed me to find that. It allowed me to bring not only the leadership skills I acquired together, but also to come to a community that is very focused on our aging population and provides a wealth of opportunities. I don't know if you all know, there's a few things going on here, more so than really anywhere else I've seen. So it's great to be a part of it, and that's what has got me here today. In our field, it's super important to keep up to date on trends in the industry. Things are always changing. What might have been the case 3 years ago may not be the case today. So we want to ensure we're keeping up to date, and I encourage my team to do the same. Actively involved in the Colorado Parks and Rec Association, and this year I'm actually serving as the board chair for their active aging programs and services division. So get to interact with professionals around the state in aging, hear what they're doing at their centers, learn about what the challenges in the industry are, anything trending we're seeing. So it's a really great way to stay connected and help promote our aging community as well. I'm also a certified therapeutic recreation specialist, and these individuals are licensed professionals who work with special populations and individuals with disabilities. I don't know if you know, aging is its own special population, so that falls within this degree, and I use it day in and day out here at our center. I also sit on the National Exercise Trainers Certification Board for their personal training and group fitness certifications. I'm a certified personal trainer, group fitness instructor. I teach people how to perform CPR, AED, and first aid as an instructor, a wellness coach, and I'm a 500-hour registered yoga teacher with a 100-hour emphasis on aging. I don't know if you're seeing a trend here. It all comes back to aging and wellness. These are things that are very important to me, and I want to make sure I'm doing my part to stay up to date on what's happening in the industry, how we can help support our senior population, as well as make sure that we're staying within our scope as professionals. Everybody hanging in so far, now that we're through the boring stuff? So NCTRC is the governing body for therapeutic recreation. This really dictates what we can and cannot do with our license. Again, the NETA is the National Exercise Trainers Association. YogaFit is the entity that I went through for yoga. And all of these are NCAA accredited. So in order for these agencies to maintain NCCA accreditation, they have to follow safety guidelines, science guidelines, industry guidelines, as well as social and cultural awareness guidelines. So excited to be a part of companies that actually keep those things in mind when we're looking at how we provide services. And security requests. So recreation programming as a whole is designing, staging, and delivering leisure opportunities by intervening social interactions, manipulating and creating environments where people feel welcome in a manner that maximizes the probability that those who enter will have the experience they seek. Has anybody participated in programs here? I would hope so. Yes. Those are experiences, right? Our goal is to create those experiences based not only on the foundations of what recreation programming is, but hearing from you. What do you all want? And how can we make those things happen? We look to enrich lives through quality recreation services. That's assessing what works well, what doesn't, and continually evaluating. Creating community connections, I think, is a huge piece of what we do. We want to have people feel like they're a part of something. We want people to learn what is available in our community and help them build new relationships. And then create an environment where individuals have the opportunity for educational, social, emotional, cognitive, and physical well-being. So therapeutic recreation is kind of a special entity. We have a CTRS, Ariana, that we share with the rec center. I don't know if you all know her. If you don't, you should get to know her. She and I both are recreation therapists, and the goal of recreation therapy is to purposefully utilize leisure in an effort to help people not only have those experiences, but overcome the barriers that may keep them from getting to those experiences. These can be in clinical settings, these can be in community settings like we're working in here, but we want to help people create a sense of wellness identity. Think about where you are in your life. Have you ever told yourself, well, I used to like to do this, but now I do this because of X? Well, how can we get you back to doing what you used to like to do in a way that meets you where you are right now? We use recreation-based medical treatment to help people reduce depression, stress, anxiety, and recover from physical and mental abilities, build confidence and socialize. And with that, Ariana has created a new part of our program here called the AIR program. You may see it in our Spring Go, and that stands for Aging, Adaptive, and Inclusive Recreation. AIR, much easier to remember, right? So, as I mentioned earlier, aging is a TR special population. How can we create experiences so that people can be met where they are, not feeling overwhelmed or underwhelmed, and provide some opportunities for people who maybe felt like they weren't at that level to be able to participate as a whole. How can we create those experiences? And that's the goal of our AIR program. So our scope of care, we start by assessing what the needs are, creating a plan, implement that plan, and then evaluate if that plan is making sense. That's kind of the baseline goal of recreation as a whole. We want to provide services in accordance with our training, our experience, and the terms of our licensure. One of the big things that that governing body of TR dictates is, as much as I work maybe in a clinical realm, I'm not a doctor. You don't want me performing surgery, but I'm part of a collaborative team that can help create the ability to overcome maybe some barriers. So a good translation to that in a community setting, we're all part of the city of Longmont, right? We all have our specialties within the city of Longmont, and while I may be very good at recreation, I don't know that I'm the person you want doing irrigation. That's just not me. Now I could learn, I could try, but we want to stay within what our scope and our education allows us to do. Otherwise, we could potentially lose our license, can't work anymore, and then my dog's not going to be very happy because she can't eat. So it's good to kind of understand that there are those boundaries within what we can and cannot do that are dictated by these governing agencies. But we collaborate in those community and clinical settings to refer out to the experts. If there's something we can't handle, hopefully we have those connections built, we built those relationships, so we can find the people who are the experts and can handle different scenarios if we're not your people. We also want to create fun, safe, and diverse experiences to help people maintain their independence, as well as improve quality of life and recreate that wellness identity. Because we have that for our whole life. Think about what helps make you feel well, not just physically. What fills your cup each day? What allows you to feel like you have purpose? This is part of what our goal is in our recreation programming division. Everybody still with me? You doing okay so far? So City of Longmont Services, for the Senior Services Division, we as recreation programmers create educational endeavors, think our history, wellness lectures, different things like that. We are very fortunate here to have our Resource and Supportive Services Division. I hope you all know how wonderful it is to have that here. It's not everywhere. Most entities, the person in my role, a one-man show, is also providing those connections and referring out. We have professionals on site who can provide those services to our community. We provide arts and creative pursuits, socialization, travel, which we're working on very diligently, cultural enrichment programs and special events, humanities and culture and technology. And one of the big things that I've really tasked our team with is how are we measuring the success of our programs? Is it that qualitative data where we talk about those experiences? How did people feel? What did they see? How did they interact? Was it fun? Did they meet someone new? But we also have quantitative data. Are these events and programs being attended? That's important. We also have survey results and feedback that we get from our community. How many offerings are we able to provide to our community, not only within our scope, but within the resources on our team? And then are we staying within our budget? So I wanted to share with you, we did a team building workshop for our programming team, which consists of myself, Terry Calvin, and Valerie Rodriguez, who are our Seniors Recreation Program coordinators, and then Ariana, who is our part-time therapeutic recreation coordinator. And for their goals in 2024, I had them all write down their personal and professional goals, compared and contrasted those goals, and found where we had similarities, and made these the foundational pillars of what we're trying to provide to our seniors. We want to build relationships and community partnerships. We want to expand our programs and be innovative. We've got a lot of great foundational things here. I like to think about it like a house. The house is here, but how can we decorate the house? How can we make it even better while maintaining the quality programs that are already happening? We want to look at process improvement. How can we make things more functional for staff, for our community? How can we clean up processes that, let's be honest, it sounds like there's been a little bit of turnover here. Let's acknowledge that and find where some things fell through the cracks and bring them back up to standard. Budget and contracted services, we want to make sure we're providing opportunities within what our budget allows, and maybe even seeking sponsors or grants to help support beyond what our budget allows and how generously the Friends Board gives to our programs as well. And then finally, professional development. Talked a lot about that career path. It's important that us as professionals continue to understand how our industry is changing, what someone in their 80s wants versus what someone in their 50s wants, and how can we meet the needs of both. And then finally, I asked everyone, what's our why? Why do you come here each day? Why do you do what you do? What drives you? What challenges you? And the big overwhelming thing I heard was to provide a space where people know they're not forgotten, people know that they are cared for, people can be mentally and physically stimulated. And that was fantastic to hear, because that is the foundation of why we build everything we do. And I'm happy to share this with anyone who would like it. It's a little small on here, but within each of those areas that we identified through our personal and professional goals, created some objectives for the year. So taking those goals, breaking them down even a little bit more within what we can do, and then asking if there's something we can't do, why not? That's our goal, and trying to work around that. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
So in regard to your attendance at these programs, do you ever get to the point where a program is not viable anymore because of lack of attendance, or how do you do that?
And I'm really glad, it's Arlene, right?
Yes.
I'm really glad you're asking those questions. One of the things when we were starting to really dig in deep here and looking at what programs made sense, we have to look at attendance. Ronnie's gonna hit the lights for us, so if you have sensitive eyes like me, get ready. That's how my dad used to wake me up in the morning, put that light on. Attendance is super important. And one of the areas that we're starting to really look at is our drop-in groups. If we're having the same 3 to 4 people come each time, and it's taking up a room where we're already busting at the seams, trying to find where to put different classes, does that class continue to make sense? So we're really gonna start to monitor that attendance on a daily basis to get that data. Also, I think feedback from participants is very important in that. If this is something that we're just doing to do, but we're not having the experience that we maybe once had, how can we shift that? How can we adapt that? So that attendance is something that we're starting to track this year, even more in depth, to get that data, to make those decisions. I mean, I might be one of the 3 people that comes to that group religiously, and I love it, but if 38 people want to come to something else on a regular basis, what makes sense? How are we best fitting the needs of our overall population? Does that answer that question?
Yes, I'm glad to hear that.
Wonderful. What other questions, Tom?
Is grant writing something you've done before, that you've done before, that is successful?
I'm not as familiar with here. Historically, I'm still fairly new to Longmont, still learning. I have written grants before. I actually hope to get a new bus, a minibus, for one of the centers that I worked at previously. I believe the city itself has some experts in writing grants that we can also look to if we are seeking additional funding or resources. What other questions?
Yes, I'd like to know, how do you measure the diversity of this in the different programs? You know, again, and I know you don't want to ask them what grades they are or whatever, but is there any way that the instructor or something like this would have an idea of how many people are actually Spanish speaking or bilingual or whatever type of thing?
That's a really good question. We haven't touched much on our Spanish program, so I'll let Ronnie kind of take the lead on that.
So one thing we're evaluating is our registration system and what data we can track through that process. And so that's something we're exploring at this time. Right now, currently, do we have anything in place? No, we don't. And that's, as Amy mentioned, we're just continuing to evaluate a lot of our systems and structures that were in place before we all got here, right? And how do we improve them? How can we collect this data and information to really paint that picture of who we're serving and at what capacity? So we are evaluating our current rec track systems, our software, for registration to see what we can do to collect that information. So that'll help. But at this time, we do.
I'm glad to hear that, honey, because I think, one of the things I felt in the past is when we bring this up, there's not a real good answer as to why we're not doing that. And it sounds like
Yes.
you're listening to what we're asking.
Yes. So a lot of these things will never come overnight, or next week or next month, and then everything is a process, especially when we're looking at software. But it is something we're exploring.
What kind of time are you looking at in getting that software,
So we've got a couple things going right now. We have a whole new team, and so we are not only getting everybody up to speed to how to navigate this software, but from there, in that same conversation, what can we do to improve it? So while they're going through these trainings, we're looking at the experts with the software to see what we can update and change to track specific, not track, that's better, right? To collect specific information and data to support the work that we're doing here at the Senior Center.
Just talk about data collection more.
Yeah, and just as an example of something we can do with our software, so you might start seeing this soon, is we're trying to figure out on a marketing basis, how are people hearing about what we've got going on? So you might hear that question of, well, how did you hear about this? Was it our Go? Was it word of mouth? Was it a flyer? Was it our social media presence? If we can collect that data and see where our community is getting this information, we know where to push that information out more. And that's a capability of this program that I think could correlate to what we're trying to seek, it sounds like, for that demographic data as well. So there are the capabilities, it's just learning the technology.
Are there any more questions?
Any other things?
Where did you find her?
Yeah.
It sounds pretty good to
It's
me.
fantastic.
The qualifications are very impressive.
Yeah, impressive,
Yes.
impressive.
Did you have a quick question?
How do you recommend, my name is Eric,
Aaron. It's nice to meet you.
how do you recommend a new program?
So if, as a guest perhaps, or as a team, or both?
Both.
Both. From the customer facing perspective, come see us. One idea from a previous facility, I actually had this to share with Ronnie earlier this week, but I've been under the weather a little bit. So, surprise, sorry. We, at another facility, had a program request form where we had people fill out, hey, I'd like to see this. These are the days that I would prefer. And if we get enough of those requests, or it's something we can accommodate, that provides us that pattern of structural data to help build something new. Or you can always come talk to us or email us. The offices are not scary. Please come say hi. Does that answer that
Art,
question?
do you have one more question?
Well, yeah, one more is that, I like that question there, is that, you say that the participants fill out a form at the end of the class, that's the.
So like a survey perhaps?
Yeah.
That sounds like something that's happened in the past year that we'd love to try and bring back. I can candidly say we're finally getting our feet under us a little bit. We have a very experienced team, but we're learning a new culture. We're learning a new community. We want to meet the needs of that community, and part of that is getting that feedback.
Because I was gonna say, that'd be a good place to ask the question of, what new programs would you like to see?
Yeah, that's a great idea too.
And, I don't know, what you're saying, you got a form or something like that, but I don't know if this place has ever suggested has ever had a suggestion box or
Yeah.
something like that. But just getting any kind of input we can get to.
Right. Another one we did at a former facility was we did have a comment box or a suggestion box. Whatever staff member was the point for that, for example, like if it was fitness, it would come to me. If it was aquatics, it would go to the aquatics coordinator. Here it could be resource programming. We would actually post what the comment was and then a response to it. Kind of like with a stoplight system. Green is absolutely, we can accommodate that. Thank you for bringing that up. Yellow is like a more, this is a possibility, we would have to explore it more. Red would be your stop of, I don't know that this makes sense here, or it's something we can do within our budget and staffing, but that way at least we're showing that people are being heard. We're not just kind of pushing these suggestions aside. When I say we're listening with open ears, we're listening with open ears. So
Okay, well, thank you, Amy, appreciate that, it's very good, very
if
interesting.
anybody else does think of residual questions, first page of the Go, if you open up, on the top Amy, we have two Amy's. So Amy Hodge, if you want to call, email, or stop by the office, I'd be happy to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Very much.
Well done.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Good question. Where did we find her? We were lucky. We were lucky to find Amy. And I've been talking about our team for a very long time about how lucky we are finding these pieces to build the current team we have. And we're just in a fantastic spot right now with the experiences that we have, the knowledge, and Amy specifically, to her supervisory skills, being able to evaluate, again, our current systems and structures. How do we take the things that are going well? How do we make them better? How do we make what we're doing from start to finish more efficient and more effective? And so she's just very organized in that space. So very lucky to have her, and we're keeping her.
Thank you, everyone.
You get a 3-year commitment, 5-year, what?
10-year contract.
Depends on how nice Ronnie is to me.
Fair enough.
All right,
Thank you.
Ronnie?
I just want to make a quick comment. I know how much you've spoken about putting your team together and doing it very intentionally, very slowly, and getting the very best. And every single time I've met a new person in their positions, they've been very impressive. And I think you're putting together a great team here.
Thank you.
And I think they're beginning to work, they're not just beginning, but they're working well together, and they're coming together. And I've just been impressed on how things are working with the whole new team.
I appreciate that. Thank
It's
you.
been great.
And the chemistry does speak for itself. It takes time to build that, and all of them instantly being able to just take each other's strengths to support each other in our program and continue to move it forward at a faster rate than I anticipated. And just everything they're doing is fantastic. So very fortunate right now.
Well, kudos to the team, and kudos for you.
Thank you.
That's right. Good
Thank
job.
you, everyone.
All
Have a
right,
great
thank
day.
you. All right, I think this is mainly for the newer members, the old people, people that have been around for a while.
We're all learning.
We're all old. Most of this last year, we have been working on 3 areas. We've talked about it a little bit. We've been talking about housing, transportation, and outreach. And Lonnie and Sheila have been doing housing. Transportation has been done by Arlene. And Beth and Art were doing the outreach, and Beth resigned, so I kind of filled in for Beth a little bit on the outreach. Anyway, the objective of all of this is to try to make some reasonable type of recommendations to the city as far as what we think should be done in these areas. These are tough areas. I think especially housing is very difficult. But that's the objective, is to first to influence city council to go adopt policies, procedures, budget, whatever, in the direction that we would like it to go. I think that I think that maybe Lonnie could go ahead and outline, you could start in your housing and say what kind of things you might recommend, and then I would ask Arlene to do the same thing, and Art and I'll do the same thing for outreach. I really don't know what you got to say. Your reports were very good, by the way. I can see that represented a lot of work. So anyway, I'm just looking forward to what you got to say.
Okay, thank you very much. What I wanted to do, when I first started looking into housing, I realized that it's got so many aspects to it. And from the unhoused to people who can't afford to buy homes to transitional, just the whole gamut. And I think I outlined it in the report. My intention was for everybody to understand what I was finding out. I wanted to put it all together in a document so that you can keep that and you can refer to it. So if you come up with any idea and you think, I wonder really what transitional housing is, you can go back to the document and you can get some information from it. I just wanted to make a comprehensive report on everything I found out. And that was my intention with the report I sent out. I don't really want to go through that very much because I think everybody has the opportunity to read it on their own. But if you have any questions about it, let me know. I've just, it's my knowledge of it has been expanding daily almost with getting the information that I needed. So if you have any questions, please just let me know. And like I said, you can keep that report to where if you have any questions yourself and you want to get more information, hopefully this is a whole roundup of all the different aspects of housing. So, but I do want to go through this. This will be quick. Longmont population is approximately 10,000 and 19% are 65 and older, close to the proportion nationally. The median income in Longmont is $90K, and for seniors, $65K, with 25% of seniors having income below $20,000. 6% of seniors in Longmont are considered very poor with incomes less than $10,000. 63% of the Longmont population own their own home, 78% of seniors are homeowners, and 22% are renters. Senior homeowners experience financial hardships due to increased costs of mortgages, utilities, taxes, and other expenses. Current and future city ordinance changes to allow ADUs, duplexes, and higher density in existing neighborhoods can help to alleviate some of the hardships and will also loosen restrictions on new builds. These changes should be encouraged and expanded. That is going to be one of the recommendations that come out of this, is that we encourage them to change the zoning. Pushing for a change in the homestead property tax exemption to link the exemption to the homeowner rather than the property will encourage senior downsizing. In addition to limiting homeowners' expenses, it will free up the tight market of larger homes. Seniors experiencing one-time financial shortfalls in paying for utilities, taxes, etc., need to be aware of the cash assistance that may be available through the senior center and by working with the city, county, and federal billing entity to arrange for alternative payment arrangements. Good communication is necessary and not always available. Senior renters tend to have lower incomes and their housing stability is more fragile than for homeowners. And it's this group that uses and needs the variety of public and private programs provided by Longmont. The Longmont Housing Authority, LHA, manages apartments for low-income residents, including seniors. They also manage the Section 8 program, including a voucher, and actually it's not called Section 8 anymore. It's called
Housing choice voucher.
Housing.
That's called what?
Housing choice.
Housing choice.
It's called housing choice, including a voucher wait list. The new low-cost housing options, co-supported by LHA, Boulder County Housing Authority, and the City of Longmont, like this spoke, should be encouraged and expanded. Other new development projects could be helped by simplifying the planning process wherever possible and working with developers to provide more low-cost units, encouraging them to continue to work with the city. The low-cost rental housing stock is an affordable gap situation, with the rental mismatch being about 2,000 units. Many seniors find themselves in dire straits financially and believe they are facing homelessness. Resource specialists at the Senior Center and our center can help seniors with emergency housing recommendations or assistance through the Housing Stabilization Program. It is difficult to reach vulnerable seniors who do not mix in the community and know where to get help. So the city could use the utility billing services to let their customers know how to get help before it's too late. Since HUD money can only be used for infrastructure projects, services such as Safe Lot, which prevent people tipping into being homeless on the street, need to be funded wherever possible by the city, county, and private organizations. That's going to be another recommendation. Safe Lots was a program, if anybody doesn't know, where people would be, would congregate at a church at night, and they would be able to park in the parking lot and use the church's facilities. I was aware of it because I help at Round Pantry, and they use Westview Presbyterian Church at night. They did. And they could park there. They had facilities. They could take showers. They could get something to eat. They really were given an opportunity to have a more comfortable existence as far as temporarily using the Safe Lots program. However, the Safe Lots program did not get funded, so it ended. So we want to encourage the city to provide funds that would bring Safe Lots back. Does anybody have any questions at all? I know that's a ton of information.
How many actual recommendations do you have?
We have well, it's hard with the homeless situation and the transitional housing because everything's being recommended. You know, people are recommending affordable housing. They're recommending transitional housing. So it's kind of hard. The city's already doing all that, I feel like. We kind of thought. What we're going to do is recommend that the city ordinance, what's the rules
property tax
about
exemption?
Inclusionary zoning.
zoning? Thank you.
Oh, zoning, okay.
The zoning get changed so that they can do ADUs, duplexes, and higher density in existing neighborhoods. So they
Okay.
can turn buildings into.
I think we need to focus on probably 2 or 3 as far as.
Okay, that would be one of them.
That would be one, okay.
The homestead property tax exemption,
Okay.
we want to push that, but that's really state level. I don't know that that's city council.
Well, I got some things to say about that. but,
Okay.
Got an
But-
idea.
That is coming up, and through the, and I think I put it in my report from the Boulder County Area on Aging. They are tracking that, and they are looking into the 2 things that are coming up, which is the funding of the older,
Oh, social
Americans.
services aging?
yes, the
Okay.
Older Americans Act and the Homestead Act. So they're going to be going through. I asked Lindsay about the letter that we want to send out about the Homestead Act.
Yeah.
And she said, new legislation is coming out of the governor's office in the next couple of weeks. So we should probably hold off until we see what they're doing.
I think I can respond to some of that, I think.
Okay. Well, as soon as we know what they're doing to make up for that, the fact that it didn't make it into a special session, then we'll find out what's going on, and then we'll put together a letter that we can send out. But we have to do it because it's like March that they do the consideration and they give out the funding.
Right.
So we have to.
Yeah, we
have like mid-March.
I'm thinking of something even a little sooner.
No. I'm saying that's our deadline.
Yeah,
Our
absolutely.
deadline is mid-March.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to recommend is when we get the letter together, I want to send it to everybody, and we'll do it through Ronnie, but send it to any seniors you know. Tell them to go ahead and sign it and send it in. Let's paper the office, with as much letters as we possibly can on both situations, and see what we can do about getting people more involved in it and expressing what they want to have done. Does that make sense?
Oh, excuse me. Can the senior center put something here for people to see about what you're talking about? And a letter to pick up and sign from here?
Seriously, I don't know why not.
Maybe we get something up for the various ballot issues that was posted up here. It was really educational. But if you're getting 7,000 or 8,000 people through here a month, is there some way to put something up that says, sign this letter, just put your name on it?
I have to double check on
Yeah,
that.
I'm not sure if it's okay,
If you could look into that
Yeah.
and find out.
7,000 people a month.
Okay, so it's gonna be the Homestead Act, it's gonna be the zoning. There's one more, hang on.
The Senate Bill 24.
Safe lots?
Senate Bill 24040.
Oh, right, and that's the old age
Right,
the
right,
Older Americans Act.
Colorado.
yeah.
The Older Americans Act, yes, that's the one that's going through the state legislature, and that's the one that the Agency on Aging is tracking to.
Yeah, can this is kind of awkward. I've done some work on that. I called Sandy Cedar,
Okay,
is that right?
Yes.
And I got some suggestions.
okay,
And I was looking at all the legislation that had been done. Most of this was done before you did your work. I should say, most of it was, I think, after you did your work. So I talked to Sandra yesterday, and she told me about a couple of bills, one bill. I hope I can remember this stuff, but I happened to be in an HOA meeting last night, and she called, and then I was talking on the street, and I didn't have my stuff with me, so I'm not sure I got it all. But she sent me, I asked her if it would be okay if we could send letters regarding certain legislation to our representative and to our senator. It's on the same line, same thing that you're talking about, exactly. And so if you don't mind, if you bear with me, I'll read and then she sent me back an email on what the conversation was. And this is it. So it's not very long.
okay.
Hello, David. Thanks for reaching out to me. I am so glad we had the chance to chat tonight. Here are the 3 bills we talked about today. At this point, the City Council has not taken any official position on any of these, so technically the city has no position. Just to share with Ronnie and Jeff, did you get that today already?
Probably.
Yeah. The City Council, as a body, takes official positions on legislative bills. The city position is always the City Council voted on position. Okay, I think that's one thing I wanted to verify. The Senior Citizen Advisory Board can take positions on legislative bills that send information to legislature. It does not need to be the chair that sends those out. However, it needs to be identified that the board is taking the position, not the city or the City Council, unless the council has taken that position specifically. Since it is a board position and not a city position, staff may not send out that information. You are welcome to send your positions to the City Council to ask them to take similar position. However, there may be times that the council takes a different position, of course, and theirs is the official city position. So that's from Sandy. Now, I'm just thinking what she suggested further is, this is the part I'm trying to remember. She said that you can take, I got 3 bills here, those that we talked about them.
Could you tell us the bills before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I would have sent these out earlier, but I didn't know what they were. And this is, one of these was just filed yesterday.
Okay.
I'm just gonna write something up on the board for everybody. You go right ahead.
Okay, all right. The first bill is, this is House, what's it called? House Concurrent Resolution 24-101. And I'll just read it to you. The summary, it's not real lengthy, it's only a few pages, but I think the basic point you can get across in a separate letter. Submitting the House Concurrent Resolution, submitting to the registered electors of the state of Colorado an amendment to the Constitution, Colorado Constitution, concerning the expansion of eligibility for the senior property tax exemption, and in connection therewith, allowing a senator who received the exemption for 2016 or any later year for a prior owner-occupied primary residence to claim the exemption for the senior's current owner-occupied primary residence, regardless of how long the senior has owned or occupied that residence. So,
What's the number?
HCR
101, 24.
24-101.
So basically, that's the Homestead Act.
This is regarding the Homestead Act, yeah.
Okay,
I
good.
didn't catch where it said that it was to follow the owner if they move. Did I miss that part? Because I think that's what it is.
It says, allowing a senior to claim the exemption for the senior's current occupied regardless of how long they've been there.
Takes with a 10-year.
So they could move, but
So-
they don't have that.
So it's not, the 10-year
Limit.
requirement is not part of this.
Right.
It's
And
says
say that
10
number again, because it doesn't sound like,
it's not a current bill. It's something that was done, I think, well, you know, I don't know when that was done exactly.
SB 24101?
That's
No, it's
HCR
HCR.
24-101. HCR 24-1001.
1001.
Yeah, did I say 101?
You said 101.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
1001. And so, okay, and here's, so that's, personally, I think that's something we should support. I mean, it's
Yes.
a continuing resolution to fill in, to make people eligible for that exemption. Okay, so I'm going on. The second one is House Bill 24-1166. Now, that's the one I just found out about last night. The idea has been around, but Sandy said it had just been filed yesterday. So, this gets a little, I had to read this several times. So, it says, okay, the title of it is, A Bill for an Act Concerning the Expansion of Property Tax Exemptions for Certain Owner-Occupied Primary Residences. Now, this reinstates the property tax exemptions for certain owner-occupied. Now, for this, I'll just read it to you. For the property tax years commencing during the property tax reassessment cycle that began on or after January 1, 2025, the bill changes the amount of the exemptions for the owner-occupied primary residence of a qualifying senior, a veteran with a disability, or the surviving spouse of the veteran, or who died in the line of duty, the veteran who died in the line of duty, whose death resulted in service-related injury or disease. Okay, here's the tricky part. From 50% of the first 200,000 of the actual value of the residence to 50% of the actual amount of the residence equal to the estimated state median value. And I worked that out, and that's an increase. Because the median increase would be something like maybe approaching 600,000, which would be 300,000, 50% of 300,000 rather than 50% of 200,000. Okay, you with me so far?
Yep.
Are you smarter than I was? All right, so, and then if the median value for the, accept that, if the median value declines, the exemption amount continues to be calculated based on the median home value based to calculate the exemption amount for the property tax years included in the cycle. In other words, your grandfather on the amount that was in there before. That's the way I read it.
okay. If I can interrupt for a second, this is the website where you can look it up and you can you can see everything about the bill. So you get an executive summary, you get the full text of the bill, you get where it is in the legislative process, and you get to see who the sponsors are. So this would be all the information that you would need, and you can
Right.
search by these numbers.
Yeah.
And then I think, David, so people can read the executive summaries for themselves. We don't need to go into the alternatives
Yeah.
so much, and we can get to the end of the meeting. But
Well,
and you've got another one, right?
I got one more, and I want to finish this up because I got a suggestion. It allows a senior who has owned or occupied the senior's residence for 10 years or their surviving spouse. Okay, that's the part that's been reinstated. I'm trying to hurry this along. Oh yeah, okay. So it really gets to the property exemption. Then it says the exemption of the senior spouse current residence, regardless of how long the senior or surviving spouse has owned or occupied that residence. The bill makes the statutory changes to conform to the constitutional amendment. So if that constitutional amendment passes next fall, this will be incorporated according to the amendment to the Constitution. Okay, then the last one I got to talk about. And this is pretty simple, straightforward, and that's the Senate Bill 24-040. Senate Bill 24-040. And that's the one that provides for an annual adjustment to the state funding of social service or the AG division and the distribution of the money. Have I got that right? Okay, and that's the one that you sent out, that's part of your report, saying that we should probably support that.
Absolutely.
Okay, right?
And I did want to say, I wanted to correct it, appropriations is in March. So they will be deciding how much money will be appropriated for the bill. However, what we found out was it would mean Boulder County would only get like $250,000.
Well, but still.
If they went for $5 million, which is what they're going for, Boulder County would get, and I don't mean only, but I mean that gives us some perspective on what we're going for.
Yeah, and you need to realize that there are 16 different
Right.
area agencies within the state, so that money, that $5 million needs to be spread over the 16
Exactly.
different.
So this
places.
is specifically for the area agency?
Yes, area agency or nation.
Right.
Yeah.
To fund the AACs, right?
Right.
To continue, and then to give them the ability to do an increase from the inflation as it continues through the years. Every 3 years, and they'll look at it again for an increase in inflation.
Right, and it is every 3 years, and they don't right now have an increase on population. So if the population gets bigger, that doesn't generate an increase in the funding. They don't, benefit from additional funding.
The senior population is expected to be the leading demographic change between now and 2050.
Well, here's my punchline. If you don't like it, fine, just say so. Yeah, if you don't like it, just say so. Sheila wrote a letter, and it's a good letter, and it's right on target. However, that letter, this is what I'm saying, that letter was written before this stuff. So, hitchhiking into what Sandy suggested last night, she said, or did I say, and she agreed? No, she said, she suggested it. She said, go ahead and send it to your representative. Senators also?
Sure.
There's two representatives that we'd be sending it to.
Yeah, so there'd be Lewis.
Here, McCormick, and.
Yeah, McCormick and Lewis, she's the senator. Okay, so Sheila could send that letter. But I would suggest that we add those three bills to the letter and saying that the board unanimously supports these bills, and that we send a copy to the representatives, CCs to the city, the mayor, city council, and anybody else that would want to. And she said that way, her thought was maybe you can get something going now.
Mm-hmm.
What does Sheila's letter say now?
It really talks about the homestead.
Just really talks about the homestead,
Yeah.
right?
Redo that letter.
The letter would have to be redone a little bit,
Yeah, we would have to redo it.
Mhm.
but I'm thinking, yeah, it's a good letter, it's just, like I say, it doesn't incorporate some of the new stuff.
Sure.
So,
And there's actually two, and I want to clarify that too. One says, I as a board member of the advisory board. The other says, from a private citizen.
Yeah.
And it doesn't include anything about the advisory board.
yeah.
Right, and so the board needs to vote, well, actually, yeah, before it can say
Yeah.
as a
We need to
advisory
vote.
board.
We need to vote today,
Okay.
is what I'm thinking. And if everybody's okay with it, then Sheila can go ahead and make the adjustments and just send it.
Okay.
So,
So we wouldn't have to put in any other information, no details about the bills we're supporting. We are supporting this, this, and this. We ask that you support that.
you don't think
Keep
so?
it short.
I think just real short and sweet. Here's
They know
we
what
would
they're
like you
doing.
to-
You know,
Absolutely.
they know the bills we're referring
Yeah.
Yeah,
to.
as long as it lists the number and what it's called, I
Right.
think that's all we need to put in there.
Yeah, okay.
Marcia, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree, it should probably be shorter than that, they don't need to be, you need to state your topic so that they know that you know what you're talking about, but otherwise, those
Yeah, right.
numbers, and you need to say, the advisory board of the city of Longmont for seniors, has voted to, urge you to support these bills.
Right.
And that's almost all it needs to say.
And that's
Yeah,
perfect.
and then just list the numbers and that's it.
That's
Yeah.
right, because even if it's a whole page, you have no idea how pressed for time they are.
Right, and they don't have time to
Yeah.
read
I agree.
anything. And then we can do one for just John Q. Public.
Mhm.
You know,
I'd say-
my name's so-and-so, I'm a senior citizen in Longmont, and I want you to know that I support these bills.
Okay. I
And
think,
we
does
ask that
everybody,
you
does
support.
everybody understand what we're talking about
I'm
here?
asking you to support these bills. I think.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
We're asking that you support these bills.
Requesting it. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. This is not the usual thing, I don't think, but if we can influence them, let's try to do it, you know?
Yeah.
I've done this before and it can be pretty,
How
Okay.
lengthy will this letter be, do you think?
how what?
Lengthy?
Like-
One page?
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah, more.
2 paragraphs.
Yeah, we were recommending it should be shorter than
Very
Sam's.
short.
Yes.
Than Sheila's
Well,
letter.
Well, my question is,
Yes.
unfortunately, I'm not, I'm bilingual, but as far as writing something in Spanish, I don't know how to do it. Does the senior center have any translators here?
We utilize our staff. We have Bianca can help translate. We have Melissa and Veronica who can help translate.
I'm
And
sure
is
that
that
Maria would
okay
be
for
willing
them to do?
I have to double check again.
Okay,
I have to
good.
double check with everything to make sure that's something that we're.
That's a good question.
Yes. And if not, then I can reach out to somebody I know who can translate it for us.
Okay.
And Maria says that she's willing to help with that
Oh,
also.
okay, good.
For board, that'd probably be best approach. Just keep it. With,
Maybe keep it within the board, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, good.
Okay, no, it's all
And
right.
then that way we could get that and we can reach out to some of the Spanish speakers that we know too.
I won't make the motion, but I'll tell you what I think we need in the motion. We need a motion that says that, I guess, delegate is the word, trust, I don't know, that we direct Sheila to redraft the letter and include reference to the 3 bills that we have talking about, and that we have unanimous consent of the board, and, however she wants to phrase that. But, yeah, okay.
I don't think that's it. I think
Okay.
what we need to vote on is that the board supports these bills.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's all we need to vote on, and what we do about it, we don't need a vote. We don't need to, we can talk about it, we can agree to it, but we don't need to go on record as voting that we're gonna have Sheila redraft the letter. That doesn't have to be voted on at all.
Well,
What we
okay,
do
but-
wanna vote on is the fact that we wanna vote that the advisory board, the Senior Citizens Advisory Board of Longmont, supports these bills.
Okay.
And
Okay,
however the
So we
best way
can't-
to word
So-
that.
And we can't say unanimous unless it is.
Right.
yeah, well, we'll have to find out in a minute here.
So
So-
is that the way we word it?
Yes, exactly,
Okay.
yeah.
I
Okay.
make a motion that the Senior Citizens Advisory Board of Longmont support HCR 24-101, HB 24-1166, and SB 24040.
Okay.
And along with that, that we send CC to, again, the mayor and city council, is that what we said on that or
See,
not?
we don't even have to vote on
Don't
what
even
we
have to
do
do
about
that.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
just,
Yeah.
we
We
then
just
we can
want the
discuss what
technical-
to do about
Good.
it.
Okay, we don't need to do that, okay. All right, so this motion is specifically saying our unanimous, hopefully, support of these three bills. Okay, that's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Did we get a
Wait
second?
a second.
Oh, I'm sorry, was there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's do it this way. All those in favor, raise your hand.
It's unanimous.
Okay, I guess that makes it unanimous. Are those, is anybody in favor?
With one absence.
With one
Against or?
absent.
Blah,
I've got
blah.
one absent.
Okay, motion carries.
Perfect.
Okay, do you have everything you need then? You
I can
make-
go ahead and draft the new letter.
Okay,
It's not gonna be that hard. It's gonna
okay.
be
And
very
I'm-
short.
And I'm saying just, okay, and I'm saying, you're saying, you just go ahead and do it.
I'll do it tonight and I'll get it out to everybody email.
Well,
Get it to,
it
yeah.
goes through Ronnie.
Yeah,
Go,
I
yeah,
think-
Right.
Ronnie distributed.
Yeah.
May I also suggest that you copy Sandy Cedar and ask her to ask for council's approval if it's not too late. You know, the order in which the bills are heard, it goes real fast. So time is of the essence in
Yes.
getting these letters off. We should email and try to get them out by Friday. And then it could go before the council next week, I think. And if it's in time,
So you lost me. What's it going to council for?
Oh, well, the council also approves, does the thing that we just did
Okay,
at the city council level, and if the city council does that,
If they approve.
then any letter that's written by anybody can say, I'm a private citizen, but I want to tell you that the Longmont City Council has recommended that you approve this bill.
okay, who takes care of that then?
Well, Sandy Cedar decides what bills to bring before council. And,
I'll get in touch with her then.
so,
I'll
yeah,
just
so
provide
just,
her.
yeah.
She'll
Say,
tell
we
me
just
whatever
did this.
information she needs
Okay,
and we'll take it from
Yeah.
there.
Well, all
Okay.
she needs is those numbers.
okay. You'll take it from there.
And I suggest we start getting letters out before we find out whether it's been approved or not by the city council.
Well, we know that, when it's my turn to talk, actually, officially, I'll tell you what the council has done, but I can tell you that the council has not been asked to opine on any of these yet.
Okay, so I don't wanna wait for them to do
No,
that.
you don't.
I wanna
The
send
board's
out,
No,
done it.
we can recommend anything we want,
right,
but I'm pretty sure.
but we
we're
can
gonna-
add on to any letters in the future if they
Yes,
do approve it. We can then
exactly.
say,
Yeah.
they can do that.
Yeah, this has the potential of having some impact, or maybe not, but at least we need to try.
Yeah,
We'll just be doing some-
I think numbers always matter.
Yeah,
Legislatures,
absolutely.
they're legislators.
Okay,
They
anything
need to
further
know what they're-
on
what they're
housing?
doing.
If the council
Um,
approves,
No, does anybody have any other information that they think they wanna recommend from housing?
Rather than do this at the end for council comments, it probably makes more sense for me to talk about this now.
Good.
The main subject of last night's study session was housing, and, the council voted, there were recommendations that you can find online. I think the council recommended increases in density, increases in the amount of affordable units that could be subject to incentive, and a whole bunch of things that made it easier to get developers to build affordable housing as opposed to having to wait for the LHA to use their fees in lieu, which, the money counts for more if the LHA does it, but it happens sooner if the builders do it. So, it's a trade-off. But these were all really positive things, and it wasn't it wasn't a good, it was not a shoo-in that the council would favor it all, because there's a lot of opposition to building more housing in Longmont by certain factions. But the most important thing along these lines, sorry, up here, is that HB 241152 is a bill that makes the building of accessory dwelling units a use by right in many more zones. Specifically, what it would do for Longmont is that in any single family zoned neighborhood, if you've got room for it, you can build an accessory dwelling unit, and that includes neighborhoods that are governed by HOAs. So what that does is void.
Interesting.
Yeah, it voids any HOA covenant that says you can't build ADUs.
Oh my goodness.
And that's, so that's strong, because it gives elders a place to downsize into, including, children that own a home can build a senior home. That's probably the primary reason that they would do it. And it also includes an appropriation for paying the city back if it waives the impact fees for the person that builds the ADU. So that was really, as far as I'm concerned at least, a big victory, and it was not unanimous on the council. And actually Sandy recommended the opposite, because it does slightly limit local control, but HOAs limit local control a lot more.
That's for
Sure do.
And so the council ultimately decided that removing the HOA presumption meant more to Longmont than
Give people more choices.
So anyway, that's an important one too. That one could be included in the letter. You'd have to take another vote. But the city council has already, and Sandy will write a letter.
Yeah, that was actually one of the bills that I was gonna bring up, and I thought maybe that the city wouldn't support that.
The staff recommended not supporting it, but the council overrode them.
Okay, that's good to know.
Now,
And
can I ask a quick question? Does that include duplexes?
No, it's specifically,
An additional?
it's specifically accessory dwelling units.
Okay.
Does
So
that mean
that-
attached to the house or detached?
Well, this one specifically is detached, because those are the ones that the HOA tends to preclude. It's hard to prevent basement apartments and stuff by HOA covenants, but
Additional
so yeah.
offsetting separate units?
Okay, so if we support this, there could be some flack to the council, it seems to be, and us, if we support it, regarding, allowing accessory dwelling units. So I just, I support it, but.
Well, so that's what I'm saying. The council already voted to support it last night.
Right, the
And
staff.
and I'm saying we
Yeah,
want to
staff
support
was
this.
against it.
But whether we vote to support it.
Yeah.
What does everybody think?
I think it's great. I would support that. Add it to the letter as a fourth bill of support.
Yeah,
Well,
and you might additionally mention that the council also
Yeah.
supports it.
Well, I was totally wrong on that. I thought the council would oppose it because of the,
Well, it was 4-3, wasn't it? 4-3.
Yeah, it was 4-3 or 5-2, but anyway, somebody voted against it. Joan, the mayor, voted against it, and, I think Diane Christ voted against it. You can look in the minutes, because, I was counting just the number of green X's and passed it. So,
okay, so,
Not to be on the other side, I am not for it.
And why?
Well, because I've been involved in HOAs and I've seen what can happen if this thing gets out of control. And so, again, it's not something I'm for.
Are there any stipulations to the HOAs? Is it just blanket, they can do it, or?
yeah, it voids that specific covenant and doesn't change HOA. It does not change the ability of HOAs to override local code, or to be more restrictive than local code, except in that one case.
That one case, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, there's opposition to that because lots of people like having exclusive neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So,
well, I just thought to myself, if my next door neighbor did that, would I be real crazy about that? And probably not. No. Yeah, Lonnie?
No, I'm just
Oh,
stretching my fingers.
yeah,
What was the
So-
last comment about our neighbor?
I just said if one of my neighbors built an accessory dwelling unit,
Okay.
I don't know if I'd be real crazy about it. Or if there are 3 or 4 on my block, I'm not sure I'd be real crazy about it. I do understand that's in line with what you said last time. You said that if people did that, we could account, it would be about 6% of the vacancies, and that would take care of some of the most of the vacancies.
a very small fraction of the single family homes
Yeah.
would, if that fraction did it,
Yeah.
built ADUs, that it would essentially solve our immediate short-term housing needs all by itself. So,
I think, personally, I think that's the greater good. I think that's what
well, yeah, that's why I support it, because it's the greater good. I live in an HOA,
Yeah, me too.
and,
Well-
HOAs do stuff that is good for neighborhoods. I just,
Well, let's vote on it then. Any more discussion? Let's vote on it then, or I should say, somebody make a motion. Lonnie?
I make a motion that the Longmont Senior Advisory Board support HB 24-1152.
Okay, is there a second to that? Second? Okay, 2 seconds. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. It's, okay, except for one vote, I'll vote for it. Okay, not unanimous, but you can't use the word unanimous.
That's okay, we can on the other ones.
Okay,
And I will definitely add that the council also supported that final one.
okay. Moving along.
Anybody have any other questions about housing? Any other ideas that they think the city should be recommendations given to the city? If you do, if there's something that didn't come up today and you think later, oh wait, I wanted to make this recommendation that we give to the council, or to Harold when he's here in March, just let us know. Just let me know and we can work through it.
Okay. Eric?
I just had a question for Lonnie. How much does the Safe Lots program cost?
I don't know. I really don't know. I
didn't
just
hear you.
know that the
How
funding
much
didn't,
does Safe Lots cost?
how much does Safe Lots cost? Do you
I,
have any?
my hand was up for that same reason. I wasn't gonna ask the cost, but, it's, I want to find out more about why the city didn't fund that. And there was, the Hope was hoping to get a state grant to fund it, and that may be why the city didn't fund it. But deciding whether to support this, the Safe Lot program and you know, doing the same thing about that, but it's not a state legislature thing.
Right.
It would be a thing to the city.
We make a recommendation to council.
Yeah, and I would like to I'd like to advise or liaise that maybe you could vote on it next month, because we're still soon enough for city appropriations
Sure.
by then, and we can find out more about that, either by, maybe one of the members can talk to Alice Soltenfus, and I can talk to the people who did funding in the city.
Okay, then what I'd like to recommend is, we're not voting on what we're gonna recommend to the city yet. So we don't need to worry about not voting on it, but why don't we table the idea of making safe lots one of the recommendations until next meeting, when I can get more information,
Okay,
okay?
everybody okay with that? We need a motion? Arlene?
I would just like to throw a couple of things out for us to think about, you know, into the future. And it's adult daycare, which I go on about all the time.
But is that part of housing?
And assisted living. I think that those are things that are critical for our aging population. So
I'm very
keep it in your thoughts, and maybe
Yeah,
5 or 6 years
Well,
we'll
we
get
can-
somewhere.
okay, Lonnie.
I'll make some clarifications. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you like that. First of all, I've been told by people at LHA or people who know what's going on with city that assisted living is in the pipeline. Correct.
It is.
They're really thinking about the fact that that's something they have to address.
They are. And I
So
think we need
we're
to keep
happy
it
to
in our
hear.
mind.
But yes, you're right, it doesn't help, it doesn't hurt to let them know, yep, we're pushing you, you know, we support it too. So we can definitely make that recommendation. And I want to reread my report from the housing, because there was another recommendation in there, but we will have it all ready for March meeting. Exactly what recommendations we're gonna make.
To the city.
The one, exactly. The
Excellent.
one thing I do have a question about is, does senior daycare fall under housing? Or is that human service, is that,
Well, I
Day
thought we were senior
services.
services and not specifically housing. So for senior services for the entire city, then I think adult daycare falls under that.
Yeah,
okay,
Lonnie's
but I thought
mission
you
is
were adding
housing.
it, yeah. I thought you were adding it to the housing recommendation.
No, I think it's something that we need to continue to push, in my opinion.
Sure.
Because the senior population is
definitely do
not
that.
getting any younger.
We can
Yeah.
definitely
So
do
we
that.
need to, yeah.
Yeah, we won't forget it. We'll find out.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to transportation. Arlene?
Well, and I know that I included this for all of you, and I did come up with 3 recommendations based on this. So my 3 recommendations are that we continue to advocate for the microtransit service, and our advocacy needs to be that it be a reasonable amount. Right now, VIA charges $6 for a one-way trip, and you also have to call a week ahead of time. Microtransit, you can call within 15 to 30 minutes, you can get a ride. I don't know what it's going to be. I know it's probably not going to be free, but it should be a really reduced rate, and that would be for seniors or anybody else that needs it. The other second thing I'm thinking about is the Firestone Longmont Mobility Hub, which is at 25th or I-25 and C-119. I think that we need to advocate for RTD or local bus service or something to be able to get us from Longmont to that hub so that we can access that service. That takes cars off the road, that gets people going, and it needs to be a reasonable amount, but I think if we just advocate for that service so that we can get there. And then the third thing out of all of my lists here is the street crosswalk lights. I watched again right at 6th and Main the other day. And yes, that walk light goes on before, but I don't think it's long enough. So I think if people can start across on a walk light before we allow traffic to start going, they're safer. And one of the things that came up at this transportation meeting the other night was pedestrian and bicycle accidents that are happening, and they had a whole data on it. And it's not exactly at 6, but it's from 9th to about 21st. That the majority of those accidents happen, and I can understand that. People think that once you hit 9th, it's a road, it's a racetrack from there. So I think we need to take a look at letting people start crossing before I'm driving or I'm turning or, whatever.
I've
Those are my
noticed,
3.
Discussion.
I've noticed that it used to be that the lights started counting right away. And now the white man
Light goes
stays white for a little while and then it starts counting.
Yeah, and that white man needs to stay white longer.
Right,
Maybe
and unfortunately,
halfway across.
what I thought about it when I looked at it, I was like, dang, they did change, and unfortunately, they didn't change it for long enough. So we probably have to go through another change to get it to be longer, don't you think?
Yeah, a piece of information,
Software.
but
I know it's software.
it is software, but the thing is that they have already purchased the new software, but the light, the device itself, has to be smarter. It has to be the physical device has to be upgraded, and so they are upgrading them one at a time. And first of all, we need to. I need to recommend that they put up a map or something of which ones have been upgraded and which ones haven't.
Right, I'd love to know that.
Yeah, because you don't know whether the new ones just aren't long enough or whether you're looking at an old one. And that matters. When you complain, it matters. So anyway, that's what you know. They are aware of the problem. They have purchased a fix, but it has to be installed one by one. So,
And another recommendation that people have made is that if people are having a hard time crossing there, then to go down to the mid block where the new lights are, because those are longer,
And
and
that's
they
good.
can cross over there. Now, it all depends upon who's walking and can they make it down to mid block.
Right.
It's just a comfort thing, but these are all temporary things anyway until the things get done. But I would love to know which they upgraded, because when I saw they had changed the one in front of the building, I was like, bonus, but it's still not long enough.
It's not long enough.
people who are the field people in the city are young and active, right? So they have no idea.
They think it's,
Right.
they think it's plenty of time.
But the other thing is to say to them, okay, if your wife or even you are out there and you have a kid in a stroller, or you're walking across with little kids, they're not walking at the same pace you are. You need to be able to safely get across.
Yeah, and even animals, if you're walking your dog on the main
Yeah,
street,
they'll stop in the
just
middle of the
need to
street.
be
Yeah.
open to,
Those are my 3 recommendations.
Good ones.
Yeah,
Yes, they are.
yes, they are.
Both of you have done excellent work. All right, do we just want to just carry those forward as is? Somebody make a motion then.
I make a motion that we carry the recommendations mentioned beforehand to the city council. Is that what I'm supposed to say?
Yeah, that's a little.
Well,
yeah,
I don't know
that's
that we
okay,
need
yeah.
to vote on it yet, because we're gonna have more recommendations next month.
Yeah.
So we might as well wait until we really know what's going on.
I wanted to be in a position when we have Harold here next month that said everybody, approves of this, or they don't.
Okay, well, in that case, we can do it.
So, puts me in a bad spot if only half the group supports it.
Yeah. Well, David, you can make the motion.
Yeah, I can. I know that, but I like to have other people. But I will. I make a motion that we adopt Arlene's recommendations and that they be moved forward as part of our recommendations to Harold next month and to the city council. Okay.
Second.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
And we're gonna wait on ours, the housing?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And I do want to make one thing. I think it's a good idea for these reports to be sent beforehand, that
Yes.
people get them beforehand so they can read them.
That was-
It's been a question whether we do bullet points at the
Yeah.
meeting or
Yeah.
whether we actually put out a report beforehand.
Yeah.
How do people each feel about it?
Well, actually, we had decided that like 6 months ago or a year ago, that's what we were going to do. Send them out ahead of time, so people had time to digest them.
It was. Oh, I thought we were, okay, all right,
So
that's what I think is the best way to do it.
I do, I agree. So I just remind everybody to get their reports in faster, because really. All right, do you still need to vote on the motion? I guess I
Nope.
do. Okay, everybody in favor, did we get a
Yeah,
second?
we have, there was a motion and a second, so we
Yeah.
need to vote.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, let's go on to outreach. Art, do you have anything to add on that?
No, not really. I'm glad to hear that we're looking at a way of tracking, good word again, what'd you say? Getting the information on participants here. And and then the other thing that, we've talked about is that, and I don't know that's ever been said that we will do it, is that the outreach, what do you call the outreach specialist, or what do you call them?
The person here at the senior center?
What is it?
Resource
What do you call
specialist.
We have
The
a
people are taking in,
resource specialist.
resource specialists, I'm sorry, I couldn't think of it. That they're continuing to tell others about participating in programs here at the center too. I think that's very important. And of course, talked to Maria a little bit, and she does attend a lot of activities here. And that she, is gonna be part of that to help and looking at expanding the programs here at the center.
Excellent.
And with that support, again, evaluating our systems and processes, right? We're talking about collecting data from a lot of our drop-in groups.
Mhm.
And it starts with being able to track attendance, and we talked about the importance of tracking attendance in an earlier conversation. So we'll need that additional support, understanding the importance of now going through the registration process to register in our systems for these drop-in programs, so we can keep and collect that data. And so there's some confusion around there. We're not changing anything. We're not trying to make things complicated for anybody. It's just we need this information to have the data we need to support our programs and decision-making, right? The effectiveness of programs, track attendance numbers for specific groups, things like that.
And there is a big increase in participants.
There has been, yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
So.
Okay. I've got, I can go through my stuff pretty quickly. We've talked about it before. But this is mainly for the new people, because you've only heard me probably talk about it 2 times yet, so. We've talked a lot about, I consider expanding weekend hours and after hours as part of outreach. And I do think that should be a recommendation eventually to Harold and to the city council. I know there's a cost, and I don't know what the cost is. Yes, sir.
Is approved on that, so we're in the process of working on that as we speak.
Oh,
What was
excellent.
approved?
Additional
Expanding
funding
hours?
hours for staffing to expand hours,
So during the day, or on the weekend, or both?
both. Right now, we're looking at 5 to 7, spending 5 to 7 Monday through Thursday, and then the weekend, I think we're looking at 8 to 12.
Okay,
Excellent.
So,
okay.
funding
Excellent.
was approved for the last
Excellent.
budget request, sorry to catch you up.
That's great.
But-
It does help keep me on them.
So,
That's great.
again, just being innovative, forward thinking, how can we continue to improve what we're doing, provide more opportunities, more availability to access our not just our programs, but our resources as well. So just had some conversations this morning with our leadership team to kind of start getting in that mindset of what it's going to look like for both sides, from our recreation programming team expand again, continue to prep or being able to program in the evenings, days, times, what programs are we looking for, and as for our supportive services side, what can it look like for our staff to now be available after 5 p.m. Because right now our schedules are 8 to 5, right? So are we looking at flexing time? And if we are moving some of our staff to that later evening, does that mean they're coming in later? Or are we looking at doing a longer day? So kind of like almost like a 4 days a week, 4 10s. Yeah. So I started that conversation this morning with our leadership team. They're going to go back to their teams, have smaller conversations. They're equipped with the information they need to answer some of those questions, and then coming back to the leadership group to kind of say, okay, well, this is what we're thinking. And we're starting these discussions now because we would probably be looking at the top of my head, thinking maybe a June rollout to allow us to get those logistics in place, and not only that, but hire for that position for the we'll need a building supervisor here for those expanded hours, because our front desk staff is again also 8 to 5, so we'll have to hire for that position, and then program, right?
That's an extra position, right?
Yeah, and then on top of that, communicate out to our community. Have plenty of time to say, hey, coming in June, this is what's going on. Yeah.
Later and longer.
So we're starting that process now.
So that's excellent.
No, I'm
That is
happy to
excellent
interrupt it.
to
That's
hear.
great news. Great
My
news.
question is gonna be, are we going to need an additional resource specialist? And if we are, we need to start looking ahead to budget that position.
I love it. Great question. And so looking big picture, right? So now that we're increasing our hours and increasing more availability, now we're looking at the details, right? Right now, our current staff, we are looking at still a 4 to 5 wait period. What can we do to reduce that? And I put some numbers in my report if you had a chance to look at it, and I'll unpack those here in a bit. But I guess to answer your question is there is definitely a growing need for additional resource support. And I am going to prepare a proposal, not a proposal, but kind of not identifying the need versus the wants for my budget request this year, that I'm going to ask for at least 2. I'm going to request 2 resource specialists, and that would knock our wait down from 4 weeks to at least 1 week.
Great.
And allow us to be available for those emergent, those on the spot appointments that can come in, right? That we can't accommodate right now because of our 4 to 5 week wait. So it has us be more available for those things. It also knocks that wait list down to a week. So we were actually kind of breaking down some of the data this morning again with our leadership team to see. To help paint that picture. What information do I need to help support that conversation and that request?
What do you need from the board to back that up? Because I definitely think you need resource specialists.
That same support. So once I get this information, I will definitely get it in everybody's hands, and that continue those recommendations of, again, I'm not just saying, oh, hey, we would love to have more people, right?
We gotta cut that wait time down.
Right, and that's really what it comes down to is availability. And at what capacity, right? Again, we can't take any of those on the spot appointments. We would love to. We're not even at capacity. We're beyond capacity. And I'll share some of those numbers here in a bit. But what support do I need from the board is to help to help with those recommendations.
Well, I would suggest that you make a motion saying that we support the acquisition of 2 additional resource specialists.
That's going to be my request.
Do we want to do that now, or do we want to wait till we get more information from you?
That's up to the board.
Yeah, I guess we can.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
We'll wait till your report.
Because it would go into the 25 budget.
Yeah.
A request for the 25, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Is that just to say that if you expand the hours, that 4 to 5 week waiting now starts to go up if you don't have resource?
it could, and it could, yes. That wait list could go up because now we're more available, right?
Yeah, but now if you're open more hours
Right,
without more staff and you're already 4 to 5 weeks,
right, and
you're
yeah,
pushing that number up.
we're only equipped to still meet the same amount of appointments with the safe staff members, current staff members, which is on average, I think three a day, 15 a week, 60 a month.
That's,
Right.
that's demanding,
Yeah,
it really is. I've done that kind of stuff, and it's hard work.
right. So that's my goal, to continue to be proactive, right? Looking forward,
Yeah.
thinking of, I don't wanna wait till and of course, we're in the moment now, right? But, not asking for one now and realizing the rate our community's growing, like, in 12 more months, like, oh, we needed actually an additional person, so I'm gonna ask big, I'm hoping for two, but again, not just, for that reason, it cuts the wait list down to a week and provides
And the
us
longer
on-the-spot
hours, you're gonna
appointments.
need at least one, so you might as well go for two.
Yeah, I think too, it's safe to ask for.
Ronnie, I
Do you-
want clarification. Did you say you're hoping to expand those hours by June?
Yes.
And
Yes.
how would you do it with the staff that you have?
So I get to hire additional staff members. So I'll look at, that title specifically would be one of two, or possibly both. A just front desk support, customer service, and then a building supervisor. So for sure, moving forward, the building supervisor, because there's more responsibility with that. They'll have to not only be that upfront customer service support, but be able to help if they need to set up different rooms. If we have one program at 5 o'clock, another one starting at 6, being able to help switch those over. So
Good.
Okay.
good things coming, a lot of good things.
Yeah, there's been a lot of changes since you came on board.
Honestly, and you're
Hopefully
just
good ones.
Good
moving
movement.
right along, taking care of
Yeah.
things. I'm very impressed.
Thank you, and I'm sorry, Lonnie, you had a question?
Well, what do you think you want to do? Do you want to have this voted on by the time we're talking to Harold, or do you want us to vote it on next week or next month?
Today or later.
I guess, what is the board's recommendation for that? It sounds like we're in full support. Do we want that, to be able to go into that conversation, to go into that board meeting with Harold to?
I would like to have it voted on today, yeah.
I'd suggest, why don't we deal with that when you make your report? If we want to make a motion, what I've got to say can be done pretty quickly, I think, and we'll go right back to you,
Yeah.
because you manage your report.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The other thing that we've been talking about off and on, and it goes along with the data collection that you're talking about. I think what we need, I think it's really important that we have some kind of a data model that I don't have a specific data model in mind, but we need to collect information on the population that we're serving and who we aren't serving. So what I'm suggesting is that I would like to see, and again, I've mentioned this before, but I would like to see your staff and the city marketing staff and whoever else might be relevant develop a survey of the community, of a good cross-section, a good profile of the community, and then sample those folks, roughly proportional to what the sample would be, roughly proportional to the kinds of the population that we have. And that you devise a survey to tap into different areas. That survey can be arranged in different ways. Someone last time suggested that you could cover the areas, the domain, I think it was you, John. We could organize the survey in the domains that the Boulder County Area Aging Agency did in their survey a few years ago. I think there's 6 or 7 or 8 of those. You could develop questions in each of those areas to sample in the survey. Are people receiving the kinds of services, not programs, not rec programs, but basic services like legal, financial, counseling, suicide, whatever, all of those kind of basic human needs. And just leave the program part of it, the recreation program part of it, out of it. And I don't know how you want to structure it exactly, but you probably, it seems to me that probably quarterly goals. Once you establish what the needs are out there, you could call it a needs survey also. Once you establish what the needs are out there on the basis of that survey, then your staff would come up with plans as to how you're going to address those needs. And again, I don't know exactly what they are and how you revise it, but it's just a structure that you do by area, by quarter. And then at the end of the year, or each quarter, as you go along, you'd evaluate how you're doing. And you do that at the end of the year. And at the end of the year, you repeat. You basically do, you don't necessarily have to do a survey again, but you go through that planning process again. So Art, when you ask a question, how many people were referred because of major depression or suicidal areas, you got an answer. Does it vary by demographic area?
Right.
And I think the demographic areas are the obvious, and I know this can be kind of a sensitive area, but you're working on it, I know. Age, sex, income level, and ethnicity.
So what you are saying is, let me see if I got this.
Okay.
You want to take this information that's coming from a survey, and then the goals are going to be set.
On the basis of the needs that you described.
And with reporting back on a quarterly basis, and at the end of the year, review those goals and adjust them if it needs to be made for the next year, correct?
Yep, you got it.
Okay,
How would the survey go out?
can go out.
I guess that would be up to the marketing division. I think last time when they did the, didn't they use everything, didn't they?
Yeah.
used
Yeah,
email,
they used
mail,
social
they
media,
used-
they used mail,
Yeah,
they used
yeah.
email, they did
They
everything.
Yeah,
learned
and
that
we
they
actually
did not
came
get
in
any,
here.
they got very minimal, I should say, responses by email or by
By
mail.
mail.
Really?
The majority of the responses were in person that are here at the senior center that our advisory board conducted those surveys in person and by email.
Yeah, so it's, surveys are tough, getting people to respond, I know that. But it's better than not having any information.
When I say very minimal by mail, I think it was like 5
Yeah,
submissions.
By snail mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Costs a lot of money to go out and only 5 responses.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not good. No.
Yeah.
Well, that's the basic idea, and we're running out of time here. I would just like to, do you go along with this? Do you support this, what I just described?
I think it's something we should continue to talk about and look into.
I agree.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
We definitely
Need to
update it,
vote
but I
on
think
anything,
it's-
but I think it's a good thing to
Right,
keep.
So you want to defer this for a further discussion?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, can we bring it up with Harold next time?
So if I heard the resource person this morning correctly, she said that you guys are going to start tracking your attendance and things like that beginning this year,
Yes.
right? So that's the information we also need. I think that we need to, I don't know that we need to do it with Harold right now. I don't know. I think we allow you guys some times to say, when are we gonna do it this year? Are we gonna do it the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter? Where are we at?
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then lots dependent on that, right?
Okay.
Again, being able to update our software. And are we bringing in new software, kind of a thing. So we're kind of in that evaluation period as well. So a lot of that's dependent, but our goal is to hopefully, no, I don't want to say hopefully, is this year start tracking some of those things. Being able to,
Yeah, and what I'm saying is not immediate. This would be further on down the line.
Sure. I think it's definitely a goal of ours.
Okay. Well, okay, if you support the goal, that's good, and we'll defer it for a meeting or two. Or until you have more information also
Yes.
on your system. Okay, good.
It would be useful to summarize those domains, for me to summarize those and get to the board.
Yeah, the domains, well, that's one way of doing it. They're in this book. If you don't have one, get it. I can send you the information to get it.
Okay.
Or unless we maybe could distribute some next meeting. They're in here.
Yeah.
Where would I-
next time?
Yeah.
Where would we get those?
The
Agency on
Area
Aging? Okay.
Or just have
Area
some,
Agency on Aging.
yeah,
I'll
just have
swing
some
by and
brief
pick up
summary.
some.
Yeah. The other thing would be just go through the topical areas of the support services.
Okay.
Covers the same kind of thing. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. Okay, Ronnie?
Yeah. You all have my manager's report, so I just want to kind of hit on some key highlights. As you all know, that Robin Bosica has accepted a different position in the city, and her last day was last Friday. Last week, we conducted interviews for our vacant administrative assistant position, and we've hired Bianca Acosta as our new administrative assistant.
Welcome.
Yeah, she's official as of this Monday, the 5th. Bianca was our office assistant before that, and before that, we stole her from recreation. So she's been in the city for a while, and we're just very excited for this opportunity for Bianca. We have currently posted that vacancy, Bianca's previous position, the office assistant position, as bilingual required. So that was posted as of Monday as well, and I took a peek at it yesterday, and I think we had 6 applicants already, so we're ready. Pretty good.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Also want to inform the board that I currently have had a conversation, a meeting with approved architect with the city to discuss building expansions here at the senior center. My goal and recommendation is to see if we can close off that back patio area and extend our back offices. We were talking about additional staff members to meet the needs of our community. Right now, if that is approved today, we have nowhere to put them. And so with that, I would like to create 4 to 5 new offices, and that if we continue where the offices are, to expand towards our room G over here. Right now, our building's in a U shape, and so I'd just like to kind of wall that area off across with additional offices. That'd give us 4 to 5 additional offices. My recommendation, 4 to 5 additional offices. Room G, that one back here in the corner, it's a smaller space. It's almost half of this, not very functional. I'd like to expand that out a little bit to make it around this size, a little closer to this size. And then in front of that, have coming closer to us where we're at right now. I guess this board has not had any meetings in our D&E room. It's our largest room with a partition. So it's a big space that can house up to, I think, up to 60, 70. And then if we cut it in half, 30, 35. So
And that's entered from the walkway coming in the front door, right?
yeah, so when you come to the front door, it'll be on your right-hand side right there, yes. And so that will give us another big room like that for programming again, as our programming increases. So have started that conversation just to see where we can take it. Yes,
What happens to the lunchroom?
it's not impacted.
Okay,
So-
will it lose its windows?
Nope.
Oh,
The-
okay.
It's so when we come out of this room right here, and if we go straight back towards the lunchroom,
Yeah.
it's just that side over here.
Oh, okay, right.
So,
I'm thinking of it
Where the
wrong.
billiard room
Okay.
is, where the billiard room
Gotcha.
is, behind it,
Gotcha.
where those windows are. Yeah.
Can you build up here?
Yeah, that was gonna be my question.
Yeah.
You can, why?
Well, I'll double check, but that's from what I heard, it kind of sounded like they could not, just because we have 2 different roofing structures because of the previous expansions. I think they would have to take
Separate,
cost
take
more
the
money
whole
to take
roof
those out
out.
to redo it. Yeah.
But that's a good idea, because that little patio out there
Yeah.
is.
You just don't use it.
Right.
I come here all the time and I've never
There's
seen it.
nothing, right.
Oh,
So
no,
just being forward thinking again as our continues to grow.
Good.
And so that discussion, that person is in contact with key players, and I can't say who, or just not because I don't know who. Their exact titles, I should say, to be a part of that discussion for approval for like zoning and things like that, just to make sure that everything is okay. And so I will follow up with him in the next week or so. And so by our next meeting, I can come back with some information, hopefully if that meeting takes place. Of,
Great.
what's been discussed at that point. Kind of want to share some statistics with you as well. So our door count for this door counts. So we have 2 entrances, a combined total of 88,209 visitors this past year. So we had a lot of people coming through our doors.
Is that duplicated?
No,
It's unduplicated?
yes.
No, it's
Count.
duplicated.
the count is unduplicated?
It's just interest.
Some
Just
of the
interest,
sessions.
yeah, sorry.
People
Just
coming in,
interest,
yeah,
sorry.
okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And then just also some great things happening here. So not only did we have 80,000 people come through our door, our Senior Tech Connect, there just a lot to highlight there. They hosted 192 sessions for our community, with a total of 2,695 participants for those programs. And with that, we have 36 volunteers in that group who provided 5,605 hours of service. So they did a lot for us this year. Yeah, and that's why, and we're really happy that our friends of Longmont were able to help improve our Wi-Fi for those reasons. Those groups keep growing. And so we needed better Wi-Fi this past year, and they helped fund that. We also Knit and Pearl. They donated 1,976 sweaters, combination of sweaters, winter hats, scarves, infant sleep sacks, and blankets. That's really staggering numbers. And since 1999, they've created 45,904 items that they've donated. So a lot of good things coming out of here. As for our recreation programming, we offered 280 wellness activities and programs, 104 therapeutic recreation programs, 138 trips offered, and 325 active volunteers supporting our program trips and peer support this past year. So very fortunate to have so many volunteers helping in many different capacities here at the Senior Center. And we're actually going to expand those opportunities for them as well and have them do a little bit more forward-facing customer service support as well for us. Amy's working with Valerie, one of our program coordinators, to help create those opportunities this year for our volunteers. The new our new Go magazine is out for the spring, which is March through May, and we're currently working on getting extended travel up and running. So we've been working with a couple different groups around the city just to get that up and running. So hopefully soon here we'll be able to start putting advertising those trips, extended travel trips, in our Go magazine.
How many Go magazines are put out a year?
4.
No, how many count, how many magazines you print?
Do we print at the top of my? I'll have to get those numbers.
Curious.
A lot.
See that?
We print a lot of them, and we go through all of them.
And we really do go through you go through all of them?
Yes.
That's
Bianca,
great.
this past season, we just run out of right at the right on time.
I was gonna say, I saw a couple right before the new one was coming out, and I laughed. I thought they'll just have enough to coast into the new one.
Yeah, I
I'll
think
get
at the
those
beginning of
numbers.
the month, we have one box left.
Yeah. And each box has roughly like 30 to 50 maybe.
I'm thinking 5 dozen.
60.
Yeah, 60.
So some key highlights for our supportive services. We've also helped hire in that space for a resource specialist at the LHA properties. So they're not under my umbrella. Like we don't fund that position, but we supervise that position because we have the resource specialists here. So Brandy Queen supervises Leo, and I'm sorry, I should have said his name, Leo Oliveras, and he started a month ago. I think he's a month in this position, and so that's going to help our resource services team as well, because there won't be as much need to provide those supports for LHA residents here at the Senior Center, because he'll be that on-site support there.
Can I just say real quick, I know that he was at our place from 8 to 12 on Mondays.
Yeah.
And he just introduced himself. I wasn't able to make it, but he came over on Monday for the first time.
Very nice guy.
Yes, people are very happy about it.
Yeah, very happy to have him on the team. Currently, at this moment, there's no wait list for counseling services. Of course, that could change at any time.
Just as you say it.
But that's right. And this is just it's worth highlighting and celebrating that in the moments while that's the case, right? Annual statistics. Sorry. Let me go back to Yeah, our supportive services, sorry. So collectively, our resource services team saw 774 new individuals this past year seeking support. And again, that's the key, and I'm gonna pull those statistics for since 2020, will that increase those every year? To help again paint that picture of the rate the community is growing and why we need additional staff members when we're bringing in 774 new people.
Right, it has to wait the 4 weeks to get in. Right?
Yes, yeah, sometimes longer, right?
Yeah.
And with that, they've made 3,380 contacts with clients. So that's in-person meetings, supports, or by telephone as well. I didn't put this in here, and I just wanted to add that. So of that's 3,380 contacts, and collectively, they've supported 1,358 clients with that. So obviously showing that some of them are duplicate appointments and meetings. Our counseling support service team conducted, of that, our counseling support service team conducted 1,040 appointments in 2023. So. Of that, 21% of our clients were Spanish speakers, which was 291 individuals. Of that, 1,358. So definitely a need there to make sure
That's
that
close to the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, he needs a new resource person.
two
Resource people.
I'll take two.
I'm in a rush here. Can we have a motion that we support the acquisition of 2 additional resource specialists?
I make a motion that we support the acquisition of 2 or more resource specialists.
2 or more, okay.
I second.
Second, any discussion? Good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Entertain a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion. Go
Okay.
ahead. No, let Eric
Got
do
a
it.
second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Thank you so much. It's been a very good meeting, I think, and you've all done some really good work. Appreciate it.
So, do you have a couple of minutes?
Yes, and I was hoping our new board members do as well, so I can go grab name tags for everybody. Your name tags came in, I left them on my, left them on my desk. So, can I go grab that real quick? And I'll grab you, and then Dave on your way out.